Shalom. The question came up of when does the day begin? Or when does the Sabbath day begin? And I know that Genesis chapter 1 verses 1 to 31 is not clear of when a day begins. And this is because of Genesis chapter 1 verses 1 and 2. In the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. Also, a play into this picture that causes us to be confused is Genesis chapter 1 verses 15 to 19, because the sun and moon were not created until that day. So let us take a look at the ordinances of the Sabbath day in Exodus chapter 16 to see if we can find some clarity on when a day begins or when the Sabbath day begins. Exodus chapter 16, starting at verse 4. In Exodus 16:4, Yahuwah prepares them to receive manna or bread from heaven to the full, a certain rate every day. In Exodus 16:5, Yah is preparing them for the sixth day to gather in twice as much manna. In Exodus 16:8, Yah provides flesh in the evening and bread in the morning. In Exodus 16:12, we see that Yahuwah has heard their murmuring and he has provided them with flesh in the evening, and in the morning they shall have bread to the full. And it came to pass in verse 13, at evening the quails came up and covered the camp, and in the morning the dew laid around about the hosts. Verse 19 and 20 is when Moshe commanded the people to not leave the bread unto the morning because it would bread worms and stink. But in verse 21, we can see that manna is being given every morning until the sun waxed hot and it melted it. So this provides us with a timeline of morning. He provided us with bread or manna. In the afternoon, the manna melted. In the evening, Yahuwah provided us with the quails that covered the camp. Now, the ordinances of the Sabbath day in verses 22 shows that on the sixth day they gathered twice as much according to their eating and also according to the commandment given up in verse 5. But as we can see, they laid up this manna in verse 24 for the Sabbath day. It did not bread worms nor stink. So they were to eat what they were supposed to eat that day because it was the Sabbath day and they would find no manna in the field that day. But it came to pass that some of the people didn't hearken to Yahuwah's laws, statutes, or commandments, and they went out to look for manna and they found none. So this is where we get down to verse 29 going into 30, where where another ordinance has come up where the people were made to stay inside of their places. Now, if they were breaking Yahuwah's law, statutes, and commandments by going out looking for manna in the morning, then my question would be, when is the Sabbath day? Shalom. I pray that this bless you.